Shalom Yashrala, Shalom, Kalalayim, Alahayanawa, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakaha, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach will and rule, who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akim, the fellow laborers, the hopeful elect, pushing this truth at risk in their own lives through the four corners of the earth. To the Ak with listening, listening, learning, in sincerity and in truth, and in silence, Shalom. It's your brother Shema from the Pillars of Benjamin camp. Here with another lesson, and we'll get right into it. Right? You have to be taught, right? Lord willing, that may be the title, but you have to be taught in this thing, man. You don't just wake up one day, you know, and you have an epiphany. You know what I mean? And you're like, I got this truth and I got these names. No, you have to be taught. Acts 8 verse 26, and it reads, and the angel of the Lord spake unto Philip, saying, Arise and go toward the south unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert, right? So the angel of the Lord told Philip, get up, rise, go do this, right? So Philip was moving in the spirit, right? Verse 27, and he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, an eunuch of great authority, under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, right? So this Ethiopian eunuch, right, of great authority under Queen Candace of Ethiopia, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship. Right. So this Ethiopian eunuch was of great stature. He was in charge of all Queen Candace's treasures. Right. Finance minister, so to speak, in modern day terms. Right. But this Ethiopian eunuch was an Israelite, because it says here he was in Jerusalem to worship. Right. It's only the males that came into Jerusalem. Let's get that. 3 times a year. Salak. Right. You had to be an Israelite. It was only Israelites. Exodus 23 verse 14. So this Ethiopian eunuch was an Israelite foreigner, a stranger. Right. Exodus 23. Right. He was just living in another nation. He was living in Ethiopia, but he was an Israelite. Exodus 23 verse 14. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Right. This is the law. Right. Israelite males, the men of Israel. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month of Abib. For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. Right. So you're going to keep the feast of unleavened bread. Right. And no male's going to show up without substance. Verse 16. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field. Here's the point. 3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Right? This all right? So this Ethiopian eunuch was Israelite. 28th verse. Was returning and sitting in his chariot, read Isaiah the prophet, right? So this Ethiopian eunuch was sitting in his chariot reading the book of Isaiah the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, go near and join thyself to this chariot, right? So once again, Philip was moving in the Spirit, right? He approached the chariot, right? He approached the Ethiopian eunuch. Verse 30. And Philip ran thither to him, and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, understandest thou what thou readest? Right, so Philip was asking the Ethiopian eunuch if he understood what he was reading, man. And he said, this is the Ethiopian eunuch's response. And he said, how can I accept some man, Salakia? And he said, how can I right? How can I understand, right? Except some man should guide me, right? Unless I'm taught. And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him, right? So now he wanted Philip to give him understanding, teach him, right? Right? You have to be taught in this thing, man. Right? Jeremiah 3, verse 15, it reads, and I will give you pastors according to my heart, right? Pastors, pastors being teachers, according to mine heart. Whose heart? Yahweh Bashem Yahshai. Meaning, you're in one accord with the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahshai. Right? Our teachers, beginning with the elder apostles on down, right? Beginning with Elder Apostle Tahar, they learn from teachers. They're elders. Right? We learn from our teachers, our elders, beginning with Elder Apostle Elder Apostle Tahar, right? Right? And who learned from Elder Apostle Tahar? Elder Apostle Gabar, Elder Apostle Ramlab, Elder Apostle Rakah, right? And who did Elder Apostle Tahar learn from? High Priest Ariah, King Masha, Elder Yanquab, right? Of the seven. And who did they learn from? Abba Bivens, right? Jeremiah 3 verse 15 once again, and I will give you pastors according to mine heart, heart being mine, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding, right? So we learn from our teachers, man. We learn from our teachers. 2 Timothy 2 Timothy 2 verse 2. And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, right? So these things that the things that you learn from your teachers, the same commit thou to faithful men, right? So you teach what you're taught. Faithful men, those that those deemed faithful in this truth. So you learn from your teacher, then the man them coming up underneath you, the brothers come underneath you, they learn from you. Who shall be able to teach others also, right? Right. So the men, the faithful men underneath you, the same commit thou to faithful men. The men that learn from you, they in turn teach. Right. Ezekiel 3 says, eat the whole roll. So you eat the whole roll. You learn from teachers, from pastors, according to the heart, according to the mind of Yahweh Shem Yahshai. Right. Ezekiel 3 verse 1. Moreover, he said unto me, son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll. Right. This roll is the scriptures. Eat the whole world, or eat the whole roll. Salakia, slip of the tongue. So you absorb these scriptures. You eat the whole roll. You learn these scriptures. And then what? And go speak unto the house of Israel. Right. Then you teach. So you eat this roll, you get built up. You get built up from elders, from hearing this word. And then you go speak unto the house of Israel. Right? Sirach chapter 8, verse 9. Verse 8 points at 9. Sirach 8 verse 8. Despise not the discourse of the wise. Discourse, it means to receive, to receive in a learning. Let's get it. In a learning, to be taught. Let's just get it to make sure. Discourse. 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 Process of understanding reason. To go over a subject. Speak at length of discourse, right? To go over a subject. Meaning running over a subject in speech, communication of thought and words, right? To go over a subject, right? Hold discourse, communicate thoughts or ideas, especially in a formal manner, right? I like this right here. A running over a subject in speech, communication of thoughts and words, right? To go over a subject, right? And this is how we learn this truth, man. To be going over a subject over and over, the scriptures over and over. From who? Our teachers, man. Despise not the discourse, right? The going over a subject over and over of the wise, right? What does Elder Apostle Gabar say? Repetition is the father of skill. What's repetition? Going over something over and over and over, right? But acquaint thyself with their proverbs. Whose proverbs? Your teachers. For of them thou shalt learn instruction, and how to serve great men with ease, right? We learn from our teachers. Verse 9. Miss not the discourse of the elders, right? Miss not what? Going over and over and over a subject again and again, again. Don't miss out on that, man. For they also learned of their fathers, right? I just told you who our elder apostles learned from, right? Our elder apostles of Great Millstone, beginning with Elder Apostle Tahar, they learned from High Priest Arya, Elder Yaquab, King Masha of the Seven. And they learned from Abba Bivens. Right? It says here, for they also learned of their fathers, and of them thou shalt learn understanding. Right? Then we read in Jeremiah 3, verse 15, I'll give you pastors according to my heart. And of them thou shalt learn understanding, and to give answer as need requireth. Right? So you learn this knowledge, this wisdom, this understanding, this truth from your elders, man, from your teachers. Right? And the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahshua has got to be supping with you, working on your mind. Let's get that. Revelation 3. Revelation 3, verse 20, and it reads, Behold, I stand at the door and knock. Right? This is red letter, Yahweh Shai speaking. Knocking on what? The door of your mind. If any man hear my voice, right? Scriptures say in John chapter 10, my sheep hear my voice. The elect are going to hear his voice. Right? And if any man hear my voice, the only men who are going to hear the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahshua's voice is his elect. And open the door of your mind. I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me, right? So Yahweh Shai got to be supping with your mind, man. Working on your mind. First and foremost. Right? But we don't wake up one day with this knowledge, this wisdom, this understanding. You don't. You got to learn. You got to be taught. Sirach chapter 6. Verse 32. Sirach chapter 6, verse 32. My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. That's a fire scripture, man. Right? My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt, and if thou wilt apply thy mind, right? Apply your mind on these scriptures, man. Be diligent. Thou shalt be prudent. Prudent means wise. So you got to be willing to humble down and learn, right? If thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. You got to be willing to humble down and learn. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, right? You got to focus. Be locked in on these scriptures. Be diligent, right? Thou shalt be prudent. You'll be wise, man. Verse 33, if thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding, right? More inclined to hear than to speak, man. Right? And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise, right? You got to humble down to learn. You got to humble down first and foremost. And the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahshua has got to be supple with your mind. Right? And you got to stay in prayer, man. Pray for understanding. Pray that the Most High opens up your mind. Okay, you don't get everything at first. Right? The keys of your mind, the locks of your mind got to be unlocked. There's multiple locks on your mind. They got to be unlocked. And who's doing the unlocking? Yahweh Shai. Stay prayed up. Prayed up, Sisi. Kwame Asharala. Wa Abad. Papa. Shalom.